fans out there, he's got a new item in his wardrobe, and I really like the recent additions. Who influenced these purchases?
Who influenced them?
Yeah.
Me. I do my own.
Come on.
No, literally.
Did you get some help from Yonna?
No,
The jacket and shirt have been great.
I do not get any help from Mrs. Smith on that.
Okay.
If you were to come into my walk-in closet, my side would have way more clothes on
we
it
knew
than,
that.
than Mrs. Smith.
We knew that. We knew that. I think my wife would say the same.
Really?
Yeah, she would say the same.
Well, does your better 7/8 help you pick out, or you pick out your own stuff?
No, she does.
Really?
She often does.
No, it's the other way in my family.
You pick out the clothes for Yonna?
I do, yeah. She
really?
will not, God love her. Actually, I was on the way in, I actually made her blush. I said, God, you look gorgeous today. And she had a dress on that I picked out for her, but she won't go. I think, not to stereotype, but I think it's the Austrian in her, right?
Spend money on herself?
She will not spend money on herself.
See, neither will my better half.
But I'm okay with it.
Well, yeah, I know. But you'll spend
so much so I get a limit on my debit card.
Hey, you got that new fancy bike.
Yeah, well.
And that wasn't cheap.
That was not cheap.
No,
but that was me saving pennies and dollars and stuff on.
And having a good year.
And having a good year, and I put a little bit of. I bought one less.
Latte.
I bought one less latte a day. Put that $5 aside, and I bought a new bike.
Look at this guy. This is going to be a great show. I can tell
that's
already.
Called, but I think
the Latte Factor.
Latte Factor, but I think we need to X the listening and viewing public about.
Oh, viewers and listeners, do you want to see Judah Wickower, the jack of all wits, on Real Talk? I think the answer is yes. You want to know something?
And I still the producer? I'm still the producer?
You're the executive producer.
Guess what?
You want him on there.
I love Judah. Judah's a great guy.
I think Judah brings the voice of reason.
We had like a whole that's the reason why we're probably a couple minutes late, because Judah and I were talking about skateboarding back in the 70s.
Were you guys both skateboarders?
I wasn't a big skateboarder, but I was telling him how I got an ad gig because my dog used to pull me to my paper route with.
Oh,
you had the skateboard, you were on it, and the dog pulled you. That's super cool.
I like it. All right, well, we'll rock and roll, and I'm going to tell a great Judah story to start the show. About folks seeing him on the show this week.
This would be a good time to call him sick.
This is going to be. He's used that trick before.
Is he really?
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to do when he's sitting there, though.
I know. He's right there. All right, let's rock and roll on Real Talk with Keith Smith. Today's show is going to be dynamite. Judah, we're in your hands. Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith on the I Love CVille Network. Good to be with you guys on a glorious Friday in Central Virginia. While we're broadcasting in downtown Charlottesville, we have a Central Virginia, Commonwealth, country, and worldwide audience where we like to chat life, the pursuit of happiness, and just frankly have real talk. Stuff. That voice right there is Keith Smith. We'll even integrate Judah Wickower into Real Talk. And Keith, you will like this. We were talking chicken wings earlier in the week with Alex Erpe on Tuesday, and where the best chicken wings were out there.
Yeah.
And Dino's name came up at Dairy Market. Judah went to go visit Dino at Dairy Market after the show. Dino recognized Judah from the show, was so grateful for the kind words, and hooked him up with what? Was it 6 wings at Dino's?
No, they only have like 10.
He hooked you up with free 10 wings?
That's their only. They've got jumbo chicken wings, 10.
And you got the hookup?
Yeah, definitely. And he also knows my dad. My dad used to always come and talk to him at Brick Oven.
Brick Oven.
So he's like, hey, tell your dad to come by. I've got something to talk to him about.
Got free chicken wings.
Dino is, first of all, the food's off the charts good. But what really makes Dino's is Dino.
Yeah.
Right? Anytime you walk in there, he's always got a smile for you. He knows who you are. This is, it's funny, we're a real estate show, and whatever the heck we're going to talk about today. But, at the end of the day, we're in the service business. It's about personal connection, right? Numbers are good and data is good, which, Jerry and I love on that. But this is about personal connection, and that man excels.
Oh my gosh, he's got the gift.
And
you walk in and he gives you a hug.
Remembers everybody's name.
Yeah.
I can't even remember my kid's name.
Right, and we've proven that on this show.
We have proven that on this show.
But dude, you walk into Dairy Market and he's giving you a hug. Yeah. He identifies you as soon as you walk in.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, so I usually give him the hug. I said, Dina, I'll be right back and get an ice cream first because, it's like squirrel ice cream.
You like sweets.
Oh, God.
We know your affinity for the Oreo.
Actually, a shout out. We're having an ice cream social at our house tomorrow for the neighbors and stuff like that around our neighborhood and some of our clients. And Yonna goes, so what kind of ice cream do you think we should get? And I went, ice cream.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, what kind of ice cream? And I went, ice cream? Does it really matter?
Well, what are you going to get?
I don't care. As long as it's ice cream, I'm good.
Tell us about the ice cream social.
Yeah, so we do this, a couple of times a year, and we send out an invite to all our clients and our neighbors. So we're at the Acres at Lake Monticello,
right.
and we do a little handwritten note out to everybody, and we get an ice cream truck, and we all sit in the front yard and have an ice cream and talk, and I may or may not bring out some cocktails from the house for the folks that are over a certain age.
Okay.
And we just hang out and have a good time. We do that 3 or 4 times a year.
I love it.
Yeah, we enjoy just being around people.
I love what the Smiths stand for, the co-owners of Yes Realty Partners. Just fantastic people, and the team at YRP is fantastic.
Yeah, we're doing, we're doing excellent. I was looking at the numbers yesterday.
Well, tell us about it.
Just not to get into details, but we're ahead of where we thought we were going to be this time this year. So this time this year. So that's good stuff. A lot to what we're doing here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, viewers
and maybe
listeners.
ice cream.
And ice cream.
Ice cream.
And new shirts.
New shirts?
And new jackets. Dude's got a new shirt over here. Isn't Smith looking sharp?
Well, thank you very much.
Smith's looking sharp over here. The second addition to the wardrobe I've seen here. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to offer some perspectives, some questions, some comments, put them in the feed. We will relay them live on air. Any questions you have, Keith, the traditional update for the market is being asked. Woody Fincham says, bourbon vanilla ice cream, please.
Oh, Woody, I was thinking of you. We were out in Seattle visiting our youngest daughter, and Starbucks makes these, they have these reserve stores. There's only like 5 of them in the world on it, and they do a bourbon coffee. So what they do is they brew the coffee, they put it in bourbon. I can't remember which brand, but they put it in a bourbon barrel and they age it, right? Then they take it back up and heat it, and they give it to you in a bourbon glass with a big old block of ice in it, and it is off the charts delicious. But thank you, Woody. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for your support. I just wanted to take a look real quickly on what in the last 7 days, and I've got it on my laptop in front of me. Sold, right? We've been talking about what's coming on the market. We've been talking about what's impending, but what's actually closed in the car footprint. So there was 94 homes that closed, and the median, let's see if I got that right. Did I say that right? Median? The median is 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2,100 square feet, 8 days on market is median. And the sale price was $436,584. So,
436,000.
Yeah, but
car footprint.
That's car footprint. That's Charlottesville, Albemarle. It's attached, detached, right? No new construction in that. Hold it. No, I lied to you. That does have new construction in it, but very minimal in it. So I just, we're still churning. They're still selling. I'm really interested to see, if Woody is seeing his business either tempo up or tempo down.
What do you see in Woody Fincham?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you. Kevin Yancey says chocolate and bourbon for him, please.
Okay, cool.
Kevin Yancey, chocolate and bourbon ice cream.
So we're gonna no, I think he's saying chocolate ice cream and a thing of bourbon.
Oh, is that what you're saying, Kevin Yancey?
I think that's what
do
he's saying.
Do you want chocolate and bourbon? You know what? I think you're right. Kevin Yancey, I think I misread that. He says chocolate and bourbon.
Yeah.
So he wants some chocolate ice cream.
I mean,
and
we
some
could
bourbon.
try it, but it seems like that would go better.
Is that what you mean, Kevin Yancey? I think that's what he means.
I think that's what he means.
I'll throw this to you here. So there's been, the national data has not been super rosy. How protected and insulated are we here in Central Virginia?
Yeah, so
because you saw some of the stories come out yesterday, right?
The national stuff, yeah.
I mean, it's getting pretty ugly out there with the R word being floating around with housing.
I was at a meeting last night and at Carr and a couple of the people there. Can we just admit we're in a recession already? And I said, well, if you've been listening to the show, I've been saying we are in a recession. Certain people, if you're struggling putting gas in your car, this is a recession, right? I don't care if gas is coming down; it's still pretty expensive on that end of it.
National Association of Realtors. Sales of previously owned homes fell 6% in July compared with June.
Yeah.
And they're down 20% from the same month a year ago.
Yeah. So I've got the laptop home and I can dig into that, but I didn't prepare for that. I don't want my ADD to kick in and sit here for a couple of minutes with silence while I'm looking at it on the end of it. But we did talk a little bit about it on Wednesday, right? The number of units year over year for that week coming on the market is actually less than it was a year ago, but our solds are pretty darn close. So there's, the time of great unpleasantness impacted us personally, as everybody knows who listens to or watches the show, tremendously. But for the overall market, we got hit late in that, and we recovered quickly.
You're talking Central Virginia.
Central Virginia, thank
Okay.
you. Look, I just think this is such a hot market, and everybody wants to be there. We just came back from a couple of weeks plus out in the West Coast, San Diego, Portland, and Seattle on some business and family matters, visiting our youngest daughter. And, you always have these conversations, anybody you bumped into. So where you from? What do you do?
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. And, when you start talking about Charlottesville, everybody, knows where it is. And everybody goes, well, that's really gorgeous. That would be a nice place to live. And they start, without even prompting them, they start rattling off, well, you got a great university, you got great medical, right? You can be hiking in a certain amount of time. You can 3 hours or 2 hours be on the bay fishing, depending on where you're going. A couple hours you're up in D.C., you can be in Richmond. And these are unprompted,
I can add to that.
Yeah, sure.
So last night, was having a couple cocktails, a couple old fashions at the Mill Room.
Yeah.
It's move-in weekend.
I know.
At the university. Many of the parents, or some of the parents, were staying at the Boar's Head, where the Mill Room is located. So I'm sitting at the bar, chatting with Doug. Doug's the bartender.
You got a new friend,
He's my guy.
He's your guy, huh?
Makes the best old fashioned.
Yeah, good for you. My guy's at Tavola, but that's okay.
The guy, there's a set of parents and their daughter from Buckhead, out in Atlanta, to my left, and then there's a set of parents and their son from Manhattan on the right.
Oh, that couldn't be more different.
Very different, but we're all talking. You know how it is at the bar,
sure,
especially when you're a people person.
Well, you would do that if it was on walking down the downtown mall.
Anywhere. So I'm having a great time, and that's one of my favorite things about going to the Mill Room is there you have the resort.
Yeah.
So you have folks from outside the area.
Constant people changing.
And you get to talk to these people,
Sure.
which I love this stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so each set of parents, their son and their daughter were first years, first day of school, first year. Move-in day.
So those who are not familiar with the UVA language, that would be called.
You hate that, don't you? I know you hate that.
No,
you think it's a little pompous.
I think I know it's a little pompous, right?
Pompous.
We're so uppity that we have to call it something other than freshmen.
Is that you agree with that, Judah? You think it's a little?
Did I
pompous?
just get myself into
No.
trouble?
I mean, I'm sure other.
Did
folks
I just
think
lose some?
that too.
I think I just lost.
You did lose customers.
The Virginia Tech people I may have gained.
Yeah, you gained some. You gained some clients. So both set of parents said this. We are looking to purchase some kind of property because we know our son is going to be, one was going to be here for a 5-year program.
I'll give you my business card.
I know. I said Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners. I got a guy. I got a guy.
I got a guy.
But both said they want to do that.
You sure you're not from New York?
They both said that.
Say it again.
They both said they want to buy an investment property for either their son or daughter to live in.
If I had $1,000 every time I had that conversation, and we said, okay, great, let's take a look at what's going on. You would think somebody would be looking at Realtor.com, but maybe they're not because they're busy doing whatever they're doing.
Oh, these people had very much knew the market.
Yeah.
They had already looked at, I think most folks are using maybe just Realtor, the Realtor app, or Zillow. They had already known the market. They knew where the houses were, the price points.
Sure. Well, that's one of the, we've been talking about this for 3.5 years, right? It's a great tool, what I'm holding in my hand, to go ahead and do this. But, at some point we might end up talking about, I've made a post on now home inspections are back and the importance of that, and the domino deal, which we talked about.
We have props.
We have props for that, but maybe maybe a little later we'll.
Okay,
try,
I thought your choice of props was so sophisticated.
No, I was just trying to get bigger ones.
Keith, I love you so much.
Right. I pulled out my domino game I got at the house, and I was like, well, hold it. Nobody's going to see those damn things. So I went and grabbed a couple of books off of my shelf.
Keith brought 5 books with him four books to show what a domino deal was. He was going to put the books on the table side by side and push them over. And that was going to be his props for the domino deal. I thought
we still might get to it, depending on the demand from the populace.
I thought it was genius. Woody Fincham for Keith Smith. Business is good.
Good.
Litigation and private use assignments are at good volume.
Good.
Servicing work for foreclosure is increasing.
Okay.
We are also seeing lots of partial release work and conservation easement work, which is indicative of a more normal market.
So
he's an appraiser. Woody Fincham,
yeah,
guys.
Woody Fincham and Associates, one of our wonderful sponsors.
A+ people.
A+, and a purveyor of very good bourbon.
Yeah.
Well, not a giver. That's a better choice of words. A giver of very good.
Charitable.
Charitable. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did I hear the word foreclosure?
He said he's been doing foreclosure business.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure at some point that's going to pop up, and we're starting to see more of that. And I'm just curious from Woody's perspective. Is that going from zero to a couple, or from zero to a large number? We get to track some of that stuff on our end on a daily basis, and we're literally going from zero foreclosures to a small amount. So just to keep it in mind. When it was at the height in 2010, it was like 3 million foreclosures per. I believe it was in 2010 or 2009 on that, and I think I did an analysis one time that's actually equaled, I think, the same number of marriages or divorces. I can't remember which one to put it into perspective, but I'm really curious. Is it going from one, or is going from zero to a little, or from a zero to a lot?
Woody Fincham, how deep is the foreclosure business over there?
Well, that'll help the inventory.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and you from an on paper standpoint, this is how it works. This is how it works, and we're empathetic and sympathetic to those that are going through the process.
Well, they're in a position now, right? They can sell. 2010, they couldn't.
They have massive equity now,
and that's
unless the purchase happened within the last year,
correct,
which a lot of them did.
Correct.
But the likelihood,
I would find it
for them to be in foreclosure within a year is hard to believe. Is what you're about to say?
Yes.
Is that what you were going to say?
Yes, dear.
Yeah.
Okay, honey.
We spent a lot of time together.
Thank you for finishing my sentences.
Well, the class of 2026.
In other words, pick it up, Smith. You're a little slow.
No, I did not say. I think you came out of the gates great with the coffee. You're feeling good.
Second one today, actually.
Yeah, I can tell.
Since I got the bike, I can buy 2 now.
This is your second coffee? The latte factor.
No, actually, it's my first. Well, it's the first since I left the house.
So the first one you got at the house.
Yeah, we got a little Nespresso thing.
Okay, so that's not the latte factor. I mean,
yes, I'm only buying one today. Is the short answer.
It's good. 4,000 first years.
I want more bike bike parts, by the way.
What components you got to get now?
Oh, no, of course. If you got the bike now, I got to buy like certain gear to go to it. And, it's a lot more to it than just a bike.
There were 4,000 first years admitted, freshmen, first years. There were 4,000
I got it. For those who are not from Charlottesville, I just wanted them to understand what first years meant.
Yeah, there's 4,000 admitted for the class of 2026. Okay, that is a pretty significant amount. And
wow, that's a big number.
Right?
Yeah. Isn't it usually like a couple thousand or something?
Kevin Yancey, are you out there? Maybe Judah Wickower, you can look. What is the normal number or a traditional number of first years admitted to the University of Virginia?
For some reason, I always thought it was in the 2000s.
I'm pretty sure this is the highest it's ever been.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's
interesting. We literally had this conversation this morning. So on a very positive note, it's a great thing. Kids are coming back, right? But it's Yonna and I were talking about it this morning, and we were like, yeah, we're staying out of Charlottesville this weekend. When was the last time you said that?
I mean,
2019.
Yeah, but you're saying you're staying out of Charlottesville just because you don't want to deal with the headache of
traffic.
Moving weekend.
Yeah. It's just
not because you got beef with CVille.
No. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, no. It's just, I guess I was trying to spin it around to a positive thing.
Oh, since pre-COVID.
So this is pre-COVID.
I got it.
That was our thing, right? You stayed away from downtown Charlottesville, moving. You stayed away from downtown Charlottesville, unless you had to go there.
Yeah.
Graduation, right? Yeah. And football games. Unless you're part of that thing. So okay, we'll just stay away from that area. Maybe that's just a New Yorker in me. Okay, avoid the traffic and stuff like that. But so now we're having that conversation again. So which I think is a good thing, which means we're now back to normal, or some facsimile thereof.
I think what was that word over there?
I know. I thought that was good.
Did you hear that?
We used to have these things called fax machines, in case you were wondering there, Jerry.
Bill McChenzie,
There was these little boxes you would put on a desk, right? You put a piece of paper on it, and you press a number on it, and it would magically send it through the phone.
The fax machine is getting referenced here on Real Talk with Keith Smith. When is the last time any viewer and listener has used it? What's the last time you used a fax machine?
What's a fax machine?
Come on.
I don't know. But I remember in 1987 when I started our businesses, that was the big get.
Well, you had the cell phone early.
I had
right?
I had a car battery cell phone. Yeah, that was in 92 when I broke my back.
And that was early.
Yeah.
Didn't the cell phone help you in that back accident?
It did, yeah.
Because if you hadn't had that, you still may be in the grassy knoll there, right?
Yeah. I think they would have left me there.
They wouldn't have left you. They love you. He fell off a ladder, and he utilized...
fell off the scaffolding, yeah.
Or scaffolding.
Yeah.
How high was that?
18 feet.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. Couldn't get my legs out underneath me fast enough, and I landed on my butt, and I compressed my T8, 9, and 10. Somehow or another, I don't remember this. I crawled. It was a waterfront at Lake Monticello. Crawled up to my truck and called 911. But I don't remember any of that.
Unbelievable. Woody Fincham. This is for Keith. Bill McChenzie. Hello.
By the way, Woody, we need to get together and share a cocktail here soon.
Yeah, Woody. Woody. He needs a happy hour partner. Woody, Keith does.
I'm good. I can meet people at the bar. I'm okay. I don't need a partner.
He says, of course, anything that I'm looking at in my direct pipeline is going to be anecdotal, but we have definitely seen an increase of foreclosures over the last 8 months.
Good.
Just using Virginia as an example, we literally didn't know liquidation assignments. These are those assignments for foreclosure. We did none at all last year. We just turned in number 19 since the beginning of this year. So 19 he's worked on.
So it went from 0 to 19. Did I hear that right?
Yeah. He also said, I don't think we're going to see a huge amount of foreclosures yet, but with moratoriums removed, they definitely are happening. And we have one mortgage client that we work with that orders foreclosure assignments on first payment default. So those are in danger of going into foreclosure, but not actually in foreclosure yet.
Yeah.
Wow, they have one mortgage client that orders foreclosure assignments on first payment default.
So it's interesting. It's a great look. I don't. That's a 0 to 19. It's only one, entity, right? It's only just Woody, but that's not a huge number. I mean, there was, back in the time of great unpleasantness, it was 19 a day.
Yeah, it was significant.
I'm just pulling that number somewhere, but it was significant. But we're going to keep a track on that. But a lot of folks, and to Woody's point there, a lot of folks do not know, in the state of Virginia, once you are 31 days past, the bank has the right to begin foreclosure processes.
31, if you're 31.
You're a day over. If you're a day over, right? And I think that's what Woody's saying. If you missed
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it can happen pretty quickly, and that's the reason why, you should always make those payments on time for multiple reasons. But, and I think, back in the day when it was insane, the banks really didn't care. You've heard stories of people not paying for a year before foreclosures happened because they didn't want the house back, right? At least somebody was in it, somebody was taking care of it, right? And if people remember back in those days, houses were getting trashed and all this kind of great stuff. But, right now, I've just pulled up the last 7 days. We got 73 in the car footprint, 73 homes that came on the market, 91 went into pending. It's still not balanced, come on, come off.
That's what and it gets back to this question. So guys, nationally, I'm going to throw this to everybody nationally, 6% sales were down according to National Association of Realtors, July versus June.
Month over month.
Month over month. And year over year, July versus 2022 versus 2021, 20% down. We are not at those levels.
No, we're not. I mean, we're not seeing it. And again, without my ADD kicking in, I could probably in five minutes tell you exactly what this month was versus last month for the footprint. Maybe I'll have that ready for Monday so I can sit down and do it. I don't want to have too much dead time. We
have this comment coming in from Grayson. He said, you guys should do a show on purchasing foreclosures. That would be an entire show. So that's a very difficult process.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Or 2 minutes. So you don't actually purchase a foreclosure, right? So that's what you do is you purchase what's called an REO, which is real estate owned property. I don't know why that REO is that way, but I guess the real RE is the real estate and O is the own. The foreclosure is a process. Right, that's the process by which the lender gets back their asset, gets back their property. Then once that's done, it then goes to an asset department within the bank or something like that, and then it starts going out. Then it hits the market at that point. So you can't. You can't physically buy a foreclosure. Foreclosure is a process, which you buy after the foreclosure, unless you go to the courthouse steps and that kind of thing. But that generally doesn't.
It's no easy task buying an REO property.
Buying an REO property is no different than buying a regular piece of property, with the exception you don't get a lot of the protections that you would on a regular thing. So if you're referring to the foreclosure process at the court steps, yeah. So it's two different animals, right? The foreclosure at the court step is the foreclosure process, right? Mm-hmm. Right, where it goes through this process and the bank or the lender, whoever it might be, gets their asset back, right? They get their first deed back. I can get this right. They get their deed back. They get the ownership of the property. Then it goes and hits the market as an REO, where the bank owns it or their processor or whatever it is. Then you buy it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Follow-up question from him.
Do I need books to go ahead and do that?
No. Follow-up question from him is, how long does that process usually take?
Foreclosure.
Yeah.
So, back in the nutty days, it'd take forever because they didn't want it back. Now, it could be 30, they could start it in 31 days and probably 60 to 90. It can go pretty fast. And once it starts, at that point, it's very difficult as the owner to stop it. Now, you can, catch up your payments, try to do that, and it becomes this huge, complicated thing because it gets passed around all these departments in the bank. And somebody's going to ask a question about a short sale. I can even say it, short the sale at some point.
Short sales, you want to give any insight into that?
Yeah, that's a show into itself.
Yeah, that's no easy task.
We did quite a bit of them back then, and we had a 100% success rate of closing them because we worked together with Bill Tucker and one of our wonderful sponsors here on the show, and he created a short sale department to do it. But the best way to think about it, it becomes a three-way deal. So you are trying
This is good stuff here.
You're trying to sell a short sale.
Yeah.
Right? You are trying to sell a home. What a short sale means is you're trying to sell a home for less than what you owe the bank. You put it on the market. National Association, it's going to be Virginia Realtors has a bunch of documents that have to go in it, that everybody recognizes it. Judah's the lender. So I'm going to write a contract with you to buy it for X dollars. Judah needs to approve it. And at any given moment from the time we wrote this deal, Judah can turn that into foreclosure. I just lost my contract and it goes away. It is a very complicated process because it's all contingent upon the lender agreeing to do this. It is extremely complicated, extremely difficult to get from point A to point B on it because anything you put more people in or more entities in, it gets more complicated.
More hens in the hen house.
That's right. And if you're a fox, you like that.
More, more cooks.
I don't know. I just popped in my head.
Yeah, I love it. More cooks in the kitchen. This is what I love about doing the show with you. I got to roll with this. And Bill says Charlottesville is crazy right now. The Intrastate I-64 coming in from Richmond had lunatics from out of state heading in every direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's you'll find out once your children go to college. It's a thing.
This comment comes in as REO properties return to the market. Renovation loans are going to start picking up.
Yeah, I mean that's a Scott Morris question on that end of it.
That wouldn't make sense though.
The risk of REO properties.
There's a lot of risk.
There's a lot of risk.
Yeah, you should outline the risk.
Yeah,
there's a lot of risk.
There's a couple off the top of the head. Typically, and I don't really want to get into the weeds because you really need to bring somebody like Bill Tucker in. To, if we want to do a show talking about that, we can surely focus about that.
That'd be a good show.
I'll make a note here in a minute. I got one noted for foreclosure already, so we'll do REOs. But typically, you don't get a clean title.
Right.
Right. So
that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal, right? So usually...
should outline this in very straightforward terms. I had a conversation...
I'm going to sip my coffee.
You're the pro. You're doing a hell of a job here.
Okay, I'm going to sip my coffee.
I got this feedback. It's from the moms group.
About me?
No, it's about the show.
They want better
shirts.
They
love the show, but they say some of the topics, they want it more digestible.
Got it.
This would be one. This
is why I've been reluctant to talk about it because it's extremely complicated, very difficult. Digestible would be my book example.
It would be. Well, what if they're only listening?
Oh.
What if they're only listening?
Well, then there's that.
Yeah, that's the problem.
There's that.
It's the Ray
well,
Canals
you can do
it.
Hold it. I got it. You used to be a sports guy, right?
Yeah. Oh, you want me to do the play-by-play on the books?
On the books.
The domino books.
No, right. We're not going to do that.
I'm happy to do that if you like. I'm a team player.
I know you're a team player.
I'm a team player.
But that might, we'll see. Maybe later we'll do a play-by-play on the books.
Listen to this. Leslie just put in the feed. Get Keith back on track. I want to hear about this. That's literally what she just said. Jerry, get Keith back on track. I want to hear what he had to say.
Yeah, well, Lee, is this Lee Elberson?
Leslie. You were talking about the clean title, REO property.
Leslie, that's one of the benefits of watching the show and watching Keith.
This is the challenge that I have, Leslie. This is what a good host has got to do.
Yeah, I mean...
I got to thread the needle carefully.
I will honestly say this. 3.5 years ago, for a hot minute, I thought I could do this by myself. But then
it's challenging.
Well, my ADD will never let it happen. Could you imagine that? It just would never let it happen. So...
REO'd and clean title.
Clean title. So, clean title is not a technical term, but the bottom line is you generally don't receive the best title possible. There's usually flaws in the title because there's not a lot of history backwards, right? And sometimes it's just not a clean process. Generally, what I advise clients, if they're going to be buying REOs, they really need to understand what they're buying. And generally, if REOs are starting to hit the market, then we're kind of back to where we're never going to go. In my opinion, back in 2010, 11, and 12. I'm trying to get back on track.
Katie Pearl says, "I love listening to this show. I always learn something new." A lot of people are saying that, and I apologize because I just interrupted and distracted Keith.
Leslie, that was my fault. Leslie, I had it. I just lost it.
I know. I very much like Katie Pearl, so I wanted to acknowledge her comment.
I love Katie. Katie's
Pearl. Awesome.
But damn it, Miller.
I know. Damn it. I'm bad host. I got him distracted. Clean title. REO. Here we go.
So let's talk about the Mets.
She wants to hear about it too.
Yeah. So you don't get clean title. You typically won't get a home inspection, right? Because they're not going to fix anything, right? The house is, even though in the state of Virginia things are sold as is, it's really sold as is, and it's a tremendous risk, which sounds a little bit, other than the title.
Sounds like COVID. It sounds like buying a home.
The title, it sounds like buying a home in COVID, right? And we all know the market is getting better.
Right.
Right?
Or more sane.
Well, back to normal.
Back to normal. Back to normal. There we go.
So we're spending a lot of time talking about that for something that's probably, my bet will be, it's not going to happen in great numbers anytime soon.
Well, and you're right, because the homes have too much equity in them.
Well, that's the point. So that's the reason why.
If someone can't make the payments, they're just going to sell their house and walk away with a bag of money.
That's the reason why the lender on 31st day is reaching out to Woody and saying, get me my appraisal, get the process.
Because they know they can sell the house.
No, what they're doing is they're putting, because they don't want, the lenders do not want to do foreclosures. They do not want the property back. That's not the business they're in, right?
Right.
So what it does is it kind of puts the fear of God in Jerry to say, okay, here's Woody's appraisal. We're going to foreclose on you. We suggest you sell your house, and this is what you think you should sell it for. And Jerry's going to go, oh, shucks.
Yeah.
I'm selling it, because the ultimate result of a foreclosure, by the way, is, you will have a judgment against you, right? So if you owe $100,000 on it, they foreclose on $100,000, and they sell it to Judah for $50,000 on it, they're going to go after you for the $50,000. And the only way to stop that is to file bankruptcy, right? Nobody wants to do that. So if you're in that position and, you can't make your payment, call a real estate agent.
Sell your house immediately.
Call a real estate agent and say, I need help. And, I'm going to speak from personal experience.
I love when you do this.
Because this happened to me. This happened to Yonna.
I know.
Right? At the tune of $17 million.
$17 million, guys.
Right? And multiple developments and all this stuff. And
how many homes did you build at Lake Monticello?
We've built over 600.
Over 600 homes. Yeah. He was a developer and a home builder.
So the one mistake I made, I'd done everything right. This wasn't my fault, right? Everything right. The one mistake I made was I felt I could fix it. And I can't fix the whole country falling apart, right? And so that was my mistake. My mistake was I think I could fix it, until it got too late, and the system started, and I couldn't fix it at that point. So if you're in a situation, God forbid, believe me, everybody, I would never wish this on anybody, because I've been through it. It is brutal, ruthless, brutal. They don't care about you. There's no relation. There's nothing. This is all about numbers on it. If you're at a point that you feel you can't do this,
you had people going to your kids' school.
I had people delivering warrants and debt to chasing my kids down in school to figure out where I was to deliver it. It's brutal. Now, keep in mind, this was a big number, big thing. I'm sure people won't, they don't do this for a regular foreclosure.
Yeah, this is $17 million, but still.
But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're at that thing, what is the first step? Recognize you have a problem, right? Recognize the issue, call a trusted professional, trusted advisor, call Katie Pearl, right? Call a real estate agent and say, look, this is where I'm at. This is where I got to go on the end of it, and start. I mean, you couldn't pick a better time to sell a house. Sell it, get it off your back, come up with a game plan, and start all over again. But my mistake I made was I thought I had the ability to fix that. And when you're in your early 40s, you think that. When you're 20 years later, you kind of go, you know what, there was no way in hell I was going to do this on the end of it. And I should have took other steps before it got too late. So if anything I can impart on anybody, don't wait too long. Don't let the process start, because once it does, you will have zero control over it.
Keith Smith, that was excellent.
That'd be a sizzle reel.
That was phenomenal. And you see why the man is of A-plus character right there. That's about as vulnerable as you get right there on the show. And people love the first-hand perspective.
Well, I can't help people unless I'm honest.
That's why people connect with you.
Yeah,
That's why people like
I thought it was the shirt.
The shirt's nice, too. The shirt's nice, too. You're a great broadcaster. We got comments coming in.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I never thought of myself like that, but thank you.
Let me throw this to you here. Look, Kevin Yancey's watching the program. He's the king of Waynesboro.
Good man.
Good man. He's often comparing today's market to 2008, 2009, 2010.
Other than he's wrong, he's a good man.
We respectfully, Kevin, we love when you watch the show.
So we're two prior service guys, so we could.
Yeah, respectfully disagree with you with the comparison to 2008, 2009, 2010. And the reason we respectfully disagree, because now the homeowners have massive equity and there's much more regulation when it comes to lending.
Or maybe just because we said so, but
we're backing it up with facts.
It's just a joke. Right. I'm just teasing.
He says it's a lot like 2008 and 2010, pulling equity, then you can't make the mortgage payments.
So actually, he's not too off the mark. It's not in great numbers, but there are some, if they start upping these, hey, you've got $100,000 worth of equity.
Well, that's happening now. The HELOC solicitation is happening now.
And you're seeing that in your cell phone.
It's freaking everywhere. It's everywhere. It's direct mail, it's text messages, it's commercials.
Or they're calling you.
They're calling you, or they're like literally random businesses that you have no ties to, soliciting, refinancing, or a HELOC of some kind.
So I think there's enough memory of what happened. My hope is that people are going to do this, because what happened was they were turning their homes into piggy banks, and they got $100,000, and they went out and bought that brand new Boston Whaler, whatever it was. That's a boat, by the way.
I know that.
Well, in case people didn't know, I just wanted to, a brand new fishing boat worth $100,000 or whatever it was. I'm not worrying about it because I can sell my house 6 months from now, and I got a free boat, right? Well. So the question is why are they getting the $100,000 equity line, right? So if they're getting it to call ISC, right? You like that?
That was so good. Intrastate Service Company, home's best friend. Look at the broadcast.
Look at this.
I'm proud of you. I'm a proud dad.
Well, that
beaming with pride right now.
That was the text you sent me.
That was so good.
Right. No, seriously. Shut up, will you?
That was so good.
Now I lost it. Thank you.
Look at the pride. I'm a proud dad right there. Look at our star pupil right here.
Right. You realize I'm older than you, but that's okay.
He said if you're pulling if you're using the refinance or the HELOC for a legitimate purpose, like you're consolidating credit card debt or you're doing some kind of value add-on to your house that drives value, so that's one thing.
So that conversation would go,
hey, you're doing it to buy a Mercedes-Benz, that's completely different.
Well, that's just stupid.
That's right.
So the conversation goes, hey, Katie Pearl, why don't you come on over to my house, right? I'm thinking about upgrading my house. I think it's going to cost $50,000. I got $50,000 worth of equity in the house. Call up Scott Morris, right? Had another working. Look at that. Call in Scott Morris, Ross Mortgage, right? And go ahead and get your loan. If I do this in a couple of years, what do you think, Katie? Can I get back my $50,000? That makes sense. That conversation makes sense. If you pick up the phone and call up Scott Morris and say, I need $50,000 and If Scott asks the question or not, I'm sure he will. Why, geez, what are you going to use it for? And if it's to buy a brand new boat, that's what got us into trouble. I hope that made sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. And Yancey makes the point. The folks that are doing the HELOC and living like a baller for 6 months are the ones that are going to be in trouble.
You know what? Then there's more inventory.
Then there's more inventory.
I hate to be that blunt about it. Then there's more inventory.
Because
we know on the other side of the mountain, because I was tracking numbers yesterday. You know, it's still upside down. More coming off than are coming on.
This is Andre Xavier. Good question for you.
Hey, Andre.
Andre, we love you. Andre owns.
He's a rock star.
Co-owner with John Craig of Patch Brewery,
yeah.
CVille Travel, Charlottesville Hop on Tours, and just an all-around
I'm honored that he's responding.
He says, do you think if you owed the bank $250 million versus $17 million, the banks would have treated you differently?
Oh, great question.
Yeah.
I'm going to reverse it a little bit. So out of the $17 million, it was broken into different numbers, right? Some were like a couple of $100,000, some were multi-million dollars. The multi-million dollar ones were the best ones to work with. The ones that were lower were just brutal to work with. It's because they were smaller banks or smaller lending institution, and a couple of $100,000 or $500,000 impacted their bottom line. It's also, you've got to understand at that time, regulators were parking their butts in banks, right? I don't know if that's happening at the moment. I don't think it is. But the point he's making is the more money it is, the usually easier it is to work with.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird. I did not expect that to happen. I assumed that was going to be worse because their balance sheets are bigger, right? And the bigger banks did not, at least the ones I was borrowed money from, didn't have regulators parked in there. But the smaller community banks on it, they did. They had regulators in their offices, and they were the ones that were putting the screw. They were the ones that were doing, sending warrants and debt to my kids.
The little banks.
The smaller lenders. Yeah. Actually had one. So we had a cabinet company at the time and a shop. And unbeknownst to us, one of these small, I'll leave the names, actually the bank doesn't exist anymore, but one of the smaller banks.
Local?
Local smaller banks, yeah. Sent in people into my shop and took all my tools.
What?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, they
repoed your tools?
And not only that, they repoed, and I had no idea this was happening. It literally happened during
What did your team members say when they were?
They were out installing cabinets.
Good Lord, that's so dirty.
Yeah. And
do they not realize that if you don't have tools, you can't make money to pay them back?
Well, that's the point, right? They don't. Once, and this goes back to my comment was that I thought I can fix it, and once it really got to this point, it just becomes this huge thing that you have no control over on it. So much so, they ended up taking my great-grandfather's hand tools. Well, not bitter. It is what it is.
I'm bitter for you.
Yeah, it is what it is. You learn from it. Hopefully I can help others. But yeah, Andre, you're right. The bigger the number was, it usually was easier to work with. The smaller the number you owed them, the smaller the bank, it was harder to work with.
Keith Smith, dropping
vulnerable today.
Dude, you're on point today, dude. You're killing it today. Philip Dow makes this point. So yesterday on Today y Mañana, the guys had Baked on the James on the show. And listen to this. Baked on the James, after coming on the show yesterday, sold out of everything. They had to close early. And are they temporarily closed right now? They sold out of everything, Judah.
Nice.
After coming on the show yesterday. Baked on the James.
There you go, buddy.
And
it's the power of this.
By 3 p.m. and had to close early. Thank you for sharing that with us, Philip. How about this one? Will the state ever address the bankruptcy loopholes for people or companies just walking away and leaving contractors holding the bag? Wait 30 days and reemerge in the same business?
Yeah,
dude, that happens.
I know it happens. Yeah,
Kevin, that's a good point.
Yeah, Kevin, that's way above my pay grade there, Soldier. This is way out of my pay grade.
That has happened where people they owe people money in business They file for bankruptcy, and then they just open up a new entity and do the same work.
So my answer to that would be oversimplification. I wouldn't do business with that person.
Right. That's what you would.
Yeah, thank you very much. Wouldn't do business. But it happens.
All the time.
It happens all the time.
All the time.
I don't understand enough about it to speak intelligently.
So this comment's come in. Guys, we very much enjoy your program. Jerry, can you ask Keith if he thinks the fall, this is the topic that comes up often, if the fall market's going to bring more inventory for us?
So more inventory versus what? You know, we looked at on Wednesday, that little week snapshot, that inventory is still coming on market, but it's actually less than it was a year ago.
Right.
Right. So, but the pendings are kind of close. They're not exactly, unit to unit, but it's within a few percentage points on it. Look, I think my opinion has been, I think you're going to see, somewhere around the middle of the fourth quarter, a slowdown. But that's normal, right? This November, December, and I think everybody that comes on Real Talk with Keith Smith, right? All the other folks that you bring in, that we bring in. Oh, look at this, I'm doing great today.
You're doing so good. You're so proud of you.
He's smiling.
I'm so proud.
There you go. Do I get a star today?
I'm so proud of you.
I get a star today. Are all saying the same thing, that this feels normal, right? This looks normal. This is acting normal, right? Again, home inspections are back, right? After the show today at 12 o'clock, I am meeting contractors at a house that we're closing at the end of the month to get the work done, right?
Nice.
So this is back to normal versus, and I was trying to look on my phone because when I was in San Diego, I took some screenshots of some stats, and so I'm not going to recite the numbers because I'll get them wrong, but they were, NAR, and National Association of Realtors, was looking at some data, and the people that bought homes with no home inspection, sight unseen, were typically, and they were millennials in particular, like it was some huge number, like over 50%, 60%, 70% regretted the fact that they did that.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And so now we're back to normal, right? We're back to home inspections, right? We're back to, maybe there's a few multiple offers on certain price points, right? Instead of 100, right? I'm exaggerating, but so it's settled in, and I think that's what everybody wants. I do anyway.
No, I think that's what everybody wants. Yeah, I mean, buying sight unseen or on virtual tours or with escalators and no home inspections, when it's already a stressful process, adding that layer, I mean, madre.
Yeah, but I had this conversation. We're listing. I can't give the specifics of it because I think Yonna just signed a listing agreement yesterday. Over at the Acres, we got a home coming up on the market, right? At the Acres at Lake Monticello is where we live. It's up the street from our house. We had a conversation with the client, and smart people, a local Charlottesville business owner on that end of it. And, we went in there Yonna went in there preparing to defend her analysis of the price, right? And they got it. They said, yeah, we understand that to expect a 20% gain or a 10% gain or a 15% gain since the beginning of this year is unrealistic. We expect it to be somewhere in the single digits. And
Gosh, great client.
Well, you're starting to see sellers and buyers get this, right?
Yeah.
It's starting to settle in, right? It's starting to settle in that, okay, we're back to, let's say it's a little higher than normal, but we're back to normal mortgage rates, right? The insanity of, 2%, 3% is over with on that end of it. We're back to, normal transactions and processes, but we're still in these super low days on market. If depending on how you talk to, nationally they'll tell you somewhere around 90 days is when it flips from or starts this transition between a buyer and a seller's market, or sellers and a buyer's market. It's around that 90 days on market, or Some people like to use absorption rate, but let's just use days on markets for this conversation. I always said in this marketplace, it's around 60, right? And if you go back and track over 21 years, for the last 21 years like I did, you start seeing that shift happen, around closer to the 60 than the 90 days because of what our market consists of. And, we're looking at 9, right? What, in the last week, it was 9 days. The median. So we're nowhere close to that. It's still pretty much a seller's market. You're just not getting these double-digit appreciations on it.
Keith
That makes
Smith,
sense?
that was fantastic, dude. This is a great question. Are you ready for this one?
Where'd I get the shirt? Is that what it is?
Yeah, where did you get the shirt?
I'm not going to tell you.
Fredericks of Hollywood.
No. Oh, Jesus.
Paul Frederick. Was Fredericks of Hollywood? That's a lingerie store.
No, that would be me wearing lingerie.
Lingerie. That's Paul Frederick. How about this question? Why aren't the builders building? This question just came in.
Look at this.
Let's get him on camera. Judah, get yourself on camera. The lingerie drop right there. Fredericks of Hollywood.
That was a Smith moment.
That was a Smith
Smith moment.
Spent a lot of time with him. Do you want to handle this one? Why aren't the builders building right now?
Oh, I'm still on the Fredericks
No?
of Hollywood.
You don't want to go there?
Yeah. So try to. That's a pretty broad question, right? Why they're not building is why that. That's a hard. If he or she can add a little bit more specifics to it.
I mean, they saw the National Association of Home Builders reports.
Yeah, so
they've been in the news all week.
Yeah, so their confidence, the builder confidence is down.
Home builders are saying we're in a recession.
Yeah, from that. So, look, the market has shifted, particularly in the new construction world, right? And as far as building units go, these lots and these buildings have all been in the pipeline long before the shift happened. And so what's happening here is their sales are dropping. And the reason their sales are dropping is that with interest rates going from 3 that he put Fredericks of Hollywood.
Yeah, I know. He got the shift graphic up there.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
That was good.
I would have preferred the Fredericks of Hollywood.
I don't think we're going to play that, though, because we don't want to. But he created the shift graphic.
I did.
Very nicely done.
Thank you.
Should we get it back on? Look at Keith's handiwork over here.
Thank you. So now I just lost it again.
Well, we were talking about the home builders, why they're not building.
Got it. Thank God you're there.
Well, I mean, a lot of them got out of the profession in 08, 09, 10.
Correct. So it's a much bigger conversation, right?
That's like a whole show.
Well, I actually do have one planned because I'm trying to bring somebody from Stanley Martin, which is one of our wonderful sponsors, and somebody like Greg Slater, who's really an expert in housing. But the reality of it is, time of great unpleasantness, I went away. I was a medium builder, small to medium builder. I was done. Wasn't coming back. Right? So the people that survived were the bigger builders. Right? So what has happened since then is, these larger developers and builders are acquiring land and did acquire land and going through that. But what happened was they needed to make a decision what they were going to build X years ago. So what I was trying to get to is if there was a new construction, and I was in meetings yesterday about this actually, between $250 and $275 a townhome, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that kind of thing, on that end of it, they'd be selling like that.
Yeah, all day.
But not a $500,000 townhome, right? So with the difference between the 2.5 and the 5, which is double, that's what the market is hurting. They're not having issues, frankly, I think, with the single-family detached units. But so what's happening here is they're not selling in seconds. They're selling in normal period of time.
45 days.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the data, and Greg would surely know more about that than I do. But from a recovering developer and builder perspective, so how come I lost $17 million? How come I lost $17 million?
Well, you outlined it. Quentin Beckham, hello. Welcome to the show.
QB.
We love you, QB.
I think he's heading out to Austin today, I think.
You outlined it.
I had to make decisions in 2002 and 2003.
You had to see into the future.
I had to see into the future.
Yeah.
And nobody saw.
2008 happened.
Well, I take that
Well, you
back.
had an idea.
I saw it in 2007, but I was too late at that point.
2007, you started people coming in saying, we'll give you money and we'll pay you to take our money.
Well, it was probably closer to 2006. But in any event.
That's a scary proposition.
Yeah, that was get the hell out of my office.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I had to sit down with Yonna. I said, we're in trouble. Because we were $17 million in debt. I was building multiple subdivisions, multiple houses on that stuff. And, there was no, that snowball was rolling down that hill. You weren't going to stop it.
Did the buyers just go away?
Oh, yeah. It literally just evaporated.
Overnight?
Literally evaporated.
What did you do with the houses that were in the process of being built?
You begged, borrowed, and stole, and you tried to get them built. And the good news, the good news for us is we used our own builder line of credit. But what happened was when the market shifted, the bank said, "We want all the money. We're withdrawing your builder line of credit." So now I'm halfway through a house. They're taking all my money away. I can't finish the house. It was I could not explain the details of that in 100 shows. But anyway.
I love this guy. I love Keith Smith, guys. He's dropping knowledge today on the program. Multiple people are saying fantastic show. Lonnie Murray is watching the program.
Hey, Lonnie.
He says, this is why simply upzoning doesn't necessarily lower prices. Builders aren't stupid. They will not put more supply in the market than it could absorb if they can help it.
So Lonnie,
Lonnie and I have a very similar mindset when it comes to the upzoning. And this is a planning commissioner here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe yes, maybe no yes, Lonnie, right? So here's the issue. And I can tell you this because I'm in the certain rooms and certain conversations. Everybody's going to green, everybody's going to the other side of the mountain. Those projects are moving along. There are projects being bought and developed in these particular areas. It's because the path is a little shorter, the regulatory requirements are a little different, and the land is cheaper, so now they can build this 225 townhome. So, Lonnie, and not that I wish to disagree, on one hand I understand it, on the other hand I disagree with it because if you can build more, I just came from Seattle, one of the most expensive places to buy, and they have adopted the missing middle. There was a program that I was part of. What happened was they would take a single-family detached lot in the city of it. They would allow, instead of one home, 4 units, but one of them had to be a land trust affordable housing home, which was this program I was a part of and helped set up out there. So there's paths there to go ahead and do this. They'll build if they can sell. So if you can get it at the right price point, they'll build. If they can't get it to the right price point, they'll just back off. And to that point, he's 100% right.
Well, I mean, they're backing off.
I know they are. I'm in meetings.
Yeah. Jason Howard has this comment. Jason, we're going to get to that.
Lonnie,
Murray,
thank you.
Lonnie, we love you, Lonnie. Respect your intellect tremendously, Lonnie Murray. I would love if you offered some more perspective on the show here, Lonnie, and what we're talking about. Jason Howard is watching the show off Rio Road. We've dubbed him the King of Rio. He says, a contractor friend told me about a project that had stalled because the developer was waiting for the supply costs to go down. Is this a common thing, pausing a project mid-construction and waiting for prices to come down?
Depends on the size of the project.
Depends on the money, the cash on the balance sheet for the developer, the builder, too.
And are they using cash to do it?
Right.
Or they're borrowing money, If they're borrowing money, the way development money works, it's usually a couple of points over prime. Right, so as prime is climbing,
yeah, they're getting pinched,
and they're X millions of dollars into it.
Significant debt service.
So on top of everything that was happening with the time of great unpleasantment, interest rates were climbing also back in the day. So all that money that I borrowed was always, whatever you negotiated, a point and a half, 2 points over prime. So as prime's climbing every month, you're $85,000 a month went to $100,000, went to $125,000, went to $150,000, and that's how cash just gets sucked out. So, to me, if they're borrowing money, stopping a project makes no sense.
You do see a lot of these projects stalling, though.
So it depends on what their cash position is.
Yeah.
Right. It
Yeah.
depends on what their cash position
I mean, think about the builder guys now.
I think what's happening in the larger builder world is I think they're just kind of taking a little bit of a breath, see what the balance of the year does to move in, which personally I think is a mistake. I think now's the time
to build.
to accelerate it because
But the
whatever
problem is they don't have like, we work with
The
some
prob-
of them. They don't have the trades, the labor to do
Wait,
this.
so that's a whole different show. That's a whole different. Scott was talking about that
They
on
can't
Wednesday.
even get the, what was the position we're advertising for? What's the hand for DCH? What's the
Just a second.
the guy that, what's the entry position at a guy that's like cleaning up the job site? He'll tell us the
Just a
name.
laborer.
Yeah,
Just a
day
laborer.
labor. Can't even find him.
Yeah. Just a laborer. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was my favorite job. I love doing that.
can't even find him.
I love doing that. I used to be the guy that swept everything and picked up the nails. And when people would come by and ask me questions, I go, I'm just sweeping.
Was that before or after the Budweiser?
No, I would never drink Budweiser.
No, you were not a Budweiser guy?
I'm not a beer drinker.
Okay,
I don't drink.
gotcha.
Remodeling technician.
Okay, technician, remodeling technician. That was a fancy name.
Whatever that means.
Came
Did you
up
come
with
up with
that.
that? So Miller, what the hell does that actually
Okay,
mean?
is it easier to fill day labor or remodeling technician?
Okay. What's the job description?
What,
Picking up nails?
day labor?
Nice job, Miller.
But they can't get workers.
Yeah. Well, nobody is coming at us out of, look, I don't know, I haven't followed up. I hope they found a teacher, but they couldn't even.
K-Tech.
Yeah, I haven't followed up
I don't
on
think they have.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a bloody shame.
Bloody shame.
It's a bloody shame.
Keith Smith.
If I wasn't doing this and doing that and doing this, I would have figured out a way to help.
Kevin Yancey, I would never have thought Barry Mead would have just walked away either. Kevin, I love how you're contributing to the program. You got a supervisor watching you over here.
Yeah, cool. Who?
Your buddy.
Oh, Ned?
Yeah,
Ned?
yeah.
Hey, Ned, I'm trying to do a Ned and Neil show in February.
We'd love to have you, Ned.
I've sent you and Neil a text. You need to respond to it. They're good looking.
We would love.
So we can go and do that. We'll give a shout out to Carl Lotz and see how you're doing also.
We would love to have you. So Keith, why do you think the builders should be building right now?
Yeah, so but that's it's why I traveled during COVID. My risk adverse, me being risk, I'm different when it handles risk. A lot of it has to do when I was in the Marine Corps and what I did and all this different stuff. But to me, I'll quote my uncle who, well, he's not my uncle, but we call him uncle, who is part owners of Atlas Van Lines, right? There's always profit in confusion, right? So now's the time to do this, right? You could potentially get a project approved, right? Because everybody understands that the market's taken, particularly new construction, a little bit. To me, now's the time to do it. I will tell you, my biggest fear is, we've been working for years trying to help housing affordability. My biggest fear is when the localities start getting hit a little hard because their tax revenue isn't going to be what they think it's going to be, or the money from the government isn't going to be as much as they thought it was going to be, and they're going to shut the spigot off of money to help people move in. And thank you to Ned, we just wrote, we're almost at meeting our 12 units that the Albemarle County gave us some money to do for the
land trust.
For the land trust, we're almost done.
That's awesome.
We've got about 4 or 5. I think it's 5 units left to do it, but we will meet our commitment of getting them under contract.
The K-Tech update from
Yeah.
viewer, they haven't had applicants yet. The position's still open.
Shit. Oops, shucks.
Total
Yeah, man, that's 60 people that are not going to get trained and not going to enter into the thing. I mean, Ned, if he's listening, ask him how's he doing with his technicians, with his I guess they don't call them mechanics anymore, right?
I don't know.
But auto technicians, auto mechanics. I mean, does he have enough people to service his vehicles?
That's a very good question right there. There's a lot of headwinds, and we're positive people here. He's talking about the educational infrastructures there. I mean, 7 of 40 Charlottesville City school buses are on the road. Think about that. 7 of 40.
Well, I walked uphill both ways.
in snow without shoes on.
Oh,
And
well,
you had to make it through gangs and bullies.
that was true.
I know you did.
That was true. Yeah, we didn't do uphill, but we needed
You were
to
in
walk.
Brooklyn.
We needed to walk a mile to, whatever it was, and you needed,
You had your head on a swivel.
you had your head on a swivel. You needed.
And
to
it made you the man you are today.
what I did in the Marine Corps, I was very well prepared for.
How's the weekend's plans besides the ice cream social?
We'll have to text Mrs. Smith, but I'm going to do a little bike ride. I've got a meeting at 11 o'clock. Interesting. We've been talking about this project, the 17 million. It's interesting on the way in. So Nahor Village was the project it's a 55 and over in Fluvanna County. I literally got a phone call on the way in from one of the residents over there that they wanted to have do a historical, write out the historical timeline of the project. And I got a meeting with them at 11 o'clock in a clubhouse I built, in a subdivision I built.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was really cool. And it was like, well, we didn't want to call you because we thought, maybe you'd have hard. I said, no, man, I drive through that subdivision and go, yeah, I did that. This is my vision. I'm good. I'm good. Lost a little bit of money. Not a big deal.
That's awesome.
Didn't lose what was important. Yeah, I just dawned on me. I've forgotten all about that. And so thank you for referencing.
And he's having cocktails tonight at
No, I did that
Sigora?
I did that last night.
Okay.
I didn't get my bike ride in this morning, so I'm going to do a ride this evening.
And you and Yonna don't have dinner plans? Take the beautiful lady out to dinner.
That's not me.
You're saying you'll gladly go out to dinner.
I will gladly.
I know he'll gladly go out to dinner. All right, sorry.
Right.
I know he wants to go out to dinner
I
every
would
night.
gladly go out for a cocktail.
He wants to go out to dinner every night.
Yeah. But our trip out west visiting was a bit, so we need to tap it.
Oh, you guys, had some fun.
Well, we went out for dinner and took people out. And
Yeah.
It's time to take a breather and.
The next trip is until October. So
No, the next trip
What?
is not me.
Oh, so in October you're not going out?
No, Yonna's going home. So Yonna's going to Europe, going to Austria for 2 weeks.
And you're staying here?
Watch.
Oh my
So
gosh.
text.
This is Greg Slater. We got to text Greg Slater. Yonna is leaving.
Well, yeah.
Get ready, Greg. Greg's joked on this program before. Anytime Yonna leaves, she has to tell Greg.
She needs to get Greg's permission.
She needs to get Greg because Keith gets a little loopy.
I've been a lot better the last couple of trips.
You
but-
do great for the first 2 days, and then you're like a
No, it's
dog who lost his bone.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite, actually.
Oh,
The first couple of days, I just totally fall apart until I get into my rhythm. But yeah.
The Oreos that he has hidden in his house come out, and they sit on the granite countertop. Oh,
yeah, I joke around. She's my better 7/8, but she truly is. And
definitely.
we've been married for since '86.
Married and worked together.
Worked together since since '86. We've been together since '85, and I don't know what to do without her. I literally have no.
One of my favorite love stories ever, the Smiths.
Well, I don't know about that.
He proposed to her over the phone while a Russian spy was listening.
It was Bulgarian.
Bulgarian spy
but it's
was
the same
listening
thing.
in.
It was the same.
He said, "Will you marry me?" And then he heard the Bulgarian take a drag of a cigarette.
No,
and
the
say,
whole time he was smoking a cigarette. You could hear it.
"Congratulations."
The congratulations part I may have made.
Okay, all right. I always wondered if that was a little bit of a stretch.
I may have made that up, but he did. But once it was over, they did hang up on us.
It makes the story more colorful.
I thought it did.
I thought it's a great addition to the story.
I'm not denying it.
God, he loves it too.
It may or may not be true.
I love Keith. I've missed you. I've missed
Congratulations.
the Batman and Robins.
But the thing about with my father, did I ever tell you the story of my father?
No.
So I am a mama's boy. I love my mother.
We knew that.
So this is maybe 84, 85. So I have not been home to see my mother and my family for Christmas for, maybe 3 years, maybe going on 4 years. It's been a bunch of years because I was overseas for half a decade. So I could make a phone call on a secure line to call somebody in the embassy in Lisbon and say, hey, I'm bringing some classified documents over. I could do that, but I couldn't call my family on that line. So you needed to use the Soviet phone system. So the way that was set up historically, guys, the way that was set up, they were phone booths in the post office. And you needed to get permission to make a phone call outside, well, actually outside the city of Sofia, outside of the country. So it took me about 6 or 8 weeks to go ahead and do that. And you get a little chit, and you say, you can show up at this time, at this date, at the phone booth. So I sent a letter through the diplomatic passages back to my father. And I said, look, Dad, I'm going to call. This is the time we're going to do it. They're going to be listening. Please don't say anything, because they'll disconnect the phone, right? Like, you know, communism sucks or something, right? Yeah. Don't say anything. I need you not to say anything, right? And this is a joke. This is a story we tell every Christmas, and I remind my father of that. So the day comes, you give the chit to the woman that has a bigger mustache than I have on there. You go sit in the booth, you call, and my father answers the phone and goes, are those bleeping commies listening? And he clicks the phone. They click the phone, and I was like, freak, Dad. And that was it. Never got to wish my mother a Merry Christmas until I physically saw her in 1986. Pop did it.
Lenny.
And it's okay. He's good with it. Like,
I thought he would say something like, you said, Dad, I'm going to call at this time. Sorry, son. I'm at the bar then. Can you make it a different time? I thought that's where you were going to go then.
No. He disparaged the communist system, and I got clicked off. It's like, damn.
I like you, Pop. Yeah, we got to get Pop back on the show.
Yeah. Pop will tell it like it is.
He does, just like his son, Keith Smith.
Well, I don't know about that, but
you did a hell of a job today.
Oh, look at that.
You did a hell of a job today.
Yeah, I had fun. I love
Batman and Robin.
It's been a while.
I know.
I think the last time we did this,
you've been gallivanting.
I'm a gallivanter.
Yeah,
it was good stuff. We learned a lot of great stuff in San Diego, did a little speaking, and got to spend about 4 or 5 days with our youngest daughter, who's 5 months pregnant. I know we won't be there when she gives birth, so we wanted to spend some time with her.
The K-Tech, due to the shortage, the state is paying $55 per hour. Is that for the K-Tech position? That's one of the cabinet said. All right, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, we need. I know.
We need to get that filled.
I've been ruminating. There you go, another big word. Ruminating about a show about that. I can't put one in my head. You should just
get them on. Like the head of K-Tech, and just to highlight it.
Well, I think we can do that, but
or like a success story from K-Tech.
Well, I think one K-Tech person, but we need somebody else from the bigger side of it, from the regulatory or from the government side or something to say, okay, how can we fix this? How can we fix this problem?
Which is a major problem.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I mean, we're not going to get more houses built unless we have people who can build the houses.
So I've got on my list, short sale foreclosure. We're going to do a new construction here pretty quickly and start asking, okay, why are you slowing down?
It's a $55 an hour job for those that have the credentials to qualify.
If I wasn't, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
No, if they'll learn anything, and that's
they would learn so much from you. The viewers and listeners learn from you on this show.
Well, you never see me swing a hammer, so
I bet you're pretty damn good at it. Yeah. You built the table at your office.
Yeah, I'm
still waiting for those hammer swinging skills on that door.
Yeah, no. Well, so that wouldn't be a hammer.
See, I have no idea. I struggle to change a light bulb.
It wouldn't be a hammer there, Marine.
Keith Smith is just a fantastic guy.
It'd be a screwdriver, a cordless drill, that kind of stuff.
He confirms his friend is making $55 an hour at K-Tech.
And I'm sure he's loving the hell out of it.
I mean, that's substantial, right?
That's great. You get to help young people, learn a trade.
Yeah.
I will. I've told both our daughters this when they were growing up. First, I told them 2 things. Whatever you do in your life, I don't really care as long as you're passionate about it, right? As long as it's your passion. One is in makeup artist, the other is a teacher, and they're both super passionate about it. I don't care if you're a doctor, I don't care what it is, as long as you're passionate about it. And the second thing is, always learn how to do something with your hands, some sort of trade with it, because it's, this iPhone is not going to be able to put makeup on Tom Cruise's face, right? Yvonne has certain skills too, but as teaching is our profession and our passion on that end of it, she can operate the heck out of a track hoe, out of a skid steer. He's really good at it. Yeah.
I like it. Keith Smith, co-owner, Yes Realty Partners.
1137.
Yes Realty Partners is who you should count on to help you navigate the
If
buying
Quentin's
and
still
selling
watching,
process.
safe travels out to Austin, Texas. There's a big KW reunion, or mastermind is what they call it. So we were going to go, but I figured you'd have a heart attack if I go out for another week.
Thank you for being here, Keith. On Real Talk with Keith Smith.
There you go.
Thank you for being here, Keith Smith.
Got
All
it.
the shows are
I got the
archived.
hint.
Thank you, Keith Smith.
I got the
The show is Real Talk with Keith Smith. All the shows are archived online at his fantastic website, realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Click the Partners tab
Please.
on realtalkwithkeithsmith.com, and then you can see just trusted people. Trusted people that you can count
These are the
on.
people that will get you across the finish line.
They'll get you across the finish line. The Partners tab on Real Talk with Keith Smith. He scored a A+++ today.
But you know how I know that?
How's that?
I think I had you smile big time about a half a dozen
I thoroughly enjoyed this.
And the face turns red. I'm doing it.
It was easy.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. The show is easy with you.
So for what it's worth, I love you.
Same. Right back at you. You too, Judah. I Love CVille
really
show
love
is
Liza
up
more, but
in 52 minutes or so. Yeah, about 52 minutes. Thank you for joining us, guys. So long, everybody. Take care. Good job, Keith.
Yeah, man.
You're on point.
Yeah, I